Joel Dendu,
Here.
Marcia Wells,
Yes.
Larry Stilson.
Okay, seeing that we have a quorum, we will continue. The first item of business is the election of officers. Do we have any nominations for Chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals?
Yes, I nominate Marcia Wells for chairperson.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? We'll close nominations. Carrie, could we have a vote, please?
Charles Kruger,
Yes.
Joel Dendu,
Yes.
Marcia
And Marcia Wells.
Yes.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, Madam Chair, the meeting is all yours.
All right, thank you. Can I elect a vice chair? Or do you need to do that, Ken?
No, you would ask for nominations for
Okay.
Vice Chair.
All right. I will take nominations for vice chairman.
Yes, I move that we nominate Larry Stilson for vice chairman.
Second.
Carrie? Oh, are there any other nominations? Okay,
I move the nominations be closed.
thank you.
We're all new at this.
I know, we only do it once a year.
Charles Kruger,
Yes.
Joel Dendu,
Yes.
Marcia Wells.
Yes. All right, thank you, everyone. Would you like this read? Ken, do we have people attending virtually?
I think we do have people attending virtually, but it's small enough. If you'd like to just summarize the rules, you're welcome to do so.
Okay. So we do have a few guidelines for tonight's meeting, thanks to COVID. Some are attending via Zoom, and so I'd just like to give you a couple of little rules and regulations for tonight. When speaking, whether you're speaking from the podium or you are speaking virtually, please state your name so that we know who is talking. Also, the board and the staff, we will try and do the same thing. When you come to speak on an appeal, please give your name and address for the record. I will be asking for people in the room if they would care to speak, and then asking people virtually if they would care to speak. So everyone will get a chance. I will read the order of the appeals so that those attending virtually will know when their appeal comes up. The first appeal, number 20-56, is for the address of 5520 North Main Street. Second is Appeal 20-57 for the address of 2424 East 5th Street. And finally, Appeal 20-58 is for the addresses of 403 and 411 South Main Street. Okay, Board, you have the minutes of the December meeting in front of you. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Is there any conflict of interest from the board declared tonight?
No?
Okay, we will get started. The appellant will come forward or speak virtually on their appeal. Those wishing to speak in favor of the appeal will have a chance next. Those wishing to speak in opposition will be able to speak after that. The appellant will have the right to a rebuttal. I will close the public hearing on the appeal. We'll have board discussion, staff discussion, a motion, and then we will vote. So first tonight is Appeal 20-56, an appeal submitted by S&L Properties LLC requesting a developmental variance for 5520 North Main Street for a reduction in the required number of parking spaces for the Culver's Restaurant. Is there anyone in the room to speak to that? Is the appellant virtually? Would you like to speak to this? Is there anyone wishing to speak for S&L Properties?
It was supposed to be virtual.
Okay. Should we come back to it, or?
Yeah, I move that we'll come back to it at the end of the meeting.
Can we do that in case they're late?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to that. The next appeal is 20-57, an appeal submitted by Mader Enterprises LLC, requesting a developmental variance for 2424 East Fifth Street to omit the required 7-foot-high screening fence along the north and west property lines. Anyone here who'd like to speak to that?
Yeah, this is Mike Huber with Avon Marsh Consultants, 15 West Jefferson Boulevard, South Bend, Indiana. And appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of our clients this evening. Mader Enterprises. Ancon Construction is also responsible for the construction of the improvements here as well. Our client is proposing a small expansion to their existing dental practice at 2424 East Fifth. The use will remain consistent with the existing use. The impact should be pretty minimal on this. It's a very small addition and expansion of the project. There's adequate parking currently provided on site to accommodate the post-expansion parking requirements. So we don't anticipate any significant impacts related to traffic or parking resulting from the expansion. But the ordinance does require an opaque 7-foot fence where the property borders the residential zone properties on the west and on the north. That's the variance. That's the part of the ordinance we're requesting a variance to not have to provide the opaque fence along those two boundaries. Currently, there is some existing screening along the north edge from a row of arborvitae trees and existing privacy fence for the neighboring property. And along the west property line, the existing parking abuts the alley. There's not really a lot of room to allow for us to install the fence without pushing the parking to the east, and that will actually negate the ability for our drive aisle between the parking, because there's perpendicular parking on both sides of the parking lot there on the east side to accommodate handicap accessible parking. So the requirement of the opaque fence there would require some significant revisions to our parking design and layout. So for those reasons, we don't anticipate a lot of impact from this, a lot of impact on the neighbors in terms of loss of value or use of property. We would respectfully ask that you grant our variance requests against providing the opaque fencing.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the room who'd like to speak in favor of this appeal? Anyone attending virtually who'd like to speak in favor of the appeal? Anyone in the room wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone attending virtually who'd like to speak in opposition of the appeal? Okay, are there questions from the board?
Ken, there's 2 letters of support in the file for this.
Thank you. We have 2 letters. Well, first is a letter of support, but it indicates, and I'll read it verbatim. I am writing in concern of the variance for the property located at 2424 East 5th Street. The question is a 7 inch, they say inch, it should be foot-high fence along the north and west side of the property line. I own the property at 2408 East 5th Street, located directly on the west side of the property in question. Our properties are divided by a very nice asphalt alley that the city recently paved. That is used not only by Michiana Smiles, but myself and other neighbors in the area. Construction of any fence along this border would be a hindrance for the vehicles to park in the Michiana Smiles parking lot while entering and exiting the lot. A fence would also create difficulties for snow removal as well as any residential alley traffic. I support the variance to omit this fence and leave the property just as it is. And it's signed by a Mr. Robert E. Roos at 2408 East 5th Street. The next is an email, attention Mishawaka City Planning Department. Our household is in favor of the proposed developmental variance for 2424 East 5th Street. This dental office has always been a wonderful and lovely asset to our neighborhood, and I hope it will continue to be operational in this location for many years to come. The screening fence will be a great addition to the property. I'm not sure they understood it, but we are thankful. That's my comment, not theirs. We are thankful that for all they do to improve the neighborhood and for the services they provide our community. And that's signed by the Pletcher Castor household at 350 South Hodson Avenue.
Okay, thank you. I'll close the public hearing on this appeal. Any board or staff discussion at all? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that Appeal 20-57 be approved.
I second.
Carrie, would you poll the board, please?
Charles Krueger,
Yes.
Joel Dindu,
Yes.
Marcia Wells.
Yes. Thank you. The appeal passes 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Appeal 20-58, an appeal submitted by Bocart Properties LLC requesting a use variance for 403 and 411 South Main Street to allow tattoo, piercing, and art gallery in the I-1 light industrial zoning and a developmental variance for a reduction of parking spaces. Would you state your name and address, please?
Yes, I'm Maurice Bocart, 16400 Kern, Kern Road, Mishawaka, Indiana, 46544, and I am the property owner.
Okay.
I have with me tonight Maria, who is the intended lessee of the property, to answer any questions regarding the specifics of her business.
Okay. And would you tell us what would you like to do, please?
Yes, at 403 South Main, even though we have an entire city block of property, once we leave the appropriate amount of space for the fire service to come to the buildings, we have very little parking. And so previously I purchased 411 South Main, which is the property immediately to the south, to service the parking needs of 403 South Main. Maria's business is by appointment only, and there's just one full-time person, 2 part-time folks, and with it being by appointment only, even 10 spaces of parking is probably 2 to 3 times what their requirements would be. But that's what we're asking for, is the 10 spaces at 411 South Main to service the parking needs of 403 South Main. Currently, the property's light industrial, which isn't in sync with her intended use as an art gallery and a tattoo and piercing services. I mean, I'm 57 years old, so I don't have any tattoos, but this is similar to every sporting event that you turn on with all the athletes with $20,000 to $30,000 worth of tattoos. Maria's services, it's really art. And we're in the $300 to $2,000 range per tattoo. So it's would be a relatively low use. I think there's, for people of a certain background, a tattoo business could be scary, but this is really an art studio.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do you have any rules about the condition people are in? I mean, if they're inebriated or whatever?
Yes, I do not tattoo on people that are under the influence of drugs or alcohol. You have to sign a release form when you go to get a procedure done, whether it's a piercing or a tattoo, that you are not under the influence of anything. Yeah, not do that.
Good.
Maria, I'm sorry, may I have your full name and address, please, for the record?
Yes, my full name is Maria Ortega, and my address is 8406 Deans Hill Road in Berrien Center.
I repeat that, I couldn't
I'm
hear
sorry.
you.
My address is 8406 Deans Hill Road, Berrien Center, Michigan.
Thank you.
And Maria, maybe you could address them with your experience.
Yes, I've been a tattoo artist for 10 years. Right away, I knew when I was a little girl I wanted to be a tattoo artist. I just knew it. I've always been gifted with, the talent of art. What I do is more than just tattoos. I feel like what I do is I help people feel better about themselves. I also offer the nipple tattoos for the mastectomy removal for ladies that have gone through that. So it's more than just tattoos. It's art. It's something to make people feel better about themselves. If they have scars, I can cover the scars. I feel like it's more than just tattoos.
And Maria's owned her own shop previously
Yes.
for 7 years in Niles, Michigan, but most of her customers were in Mishawaka and South.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the appeal? Anyone attending virtually who'd like to speak in favor? Doesn't look like anyone else here to speak in opposition. Anyone attending virtually to speak in opposition to the appeal? Okay, are there more questions?
Mr. Bocart, you saw that the engineering department had some comments regarding the parking spaces?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, the parking spaces and dealing with stormwater, and then the removal of the connector. For those folks that were here a year ago, that was approved, which we appreciate that. And then the person that was going to purchase all the properties, their bank pulled out because of COVID, and they were a non-essential business. So they still wanted to proceed, but without bank financing, they weren't able to. So I appreciate your tolerance of me being before you again, asking for yet another variance.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ken, are we voting on both variances together, or do you need them separate?
I would suggest together.
Okay, all right. I will close the public hearing on the appeal. If there aren't any other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that appeal 20-58 be approved.
I'll second.
Carrie, would you pull the board, please?
Charles Kruger,
Yes.
Joel Dindu,
Yes.
Marcia Wells.
Yes. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would note that this item for the use variance portion should be up before the Common Council this coming Monday.
Okay,
Great.
wonderful, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, I just want to check and see if anyone is attending virtually to speak about Appeal 20-56 for Culver's Restaurant. Okay, I'm sure they will be contacting you to schedule again.
Per our rules, Madam Chair, I would suggest continue it to the next meeting.
Okay, all right.
But you'll need a motion to do so.
All right, do I have a motion to continue the public appeal 20-56 for next month's meeting?
I so move.
Second.
Carrie? Do you have to pull the board on this one? Yeah.
Charles Kruger,
Yes.
Joel Dindu,
Yes.
Marcia Wells.
Yes. Okay, is there any old business?
No,
Anything new?
nothing.
All right, any privilege of the
Well-
floor? I don't see anything.
I have
Charles?
a suggestion.
What's that?
Well, the letters that Mr. Pence has, would it be possible to put these in with this so we could see them ahead of time in case there's some really germane things that
So,
people are bringing up?
Mr. Kruger, if the letters do arrive before the staff report is printed, we typically include them in the packet, but a lot of
That'd be
times we
good. I'd
don't.
appreciate it.
A lot of the times we don't have them in our hands until right before the meeting.
I understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.